Ava Max there, and Sweet but Psycho. I love that record, talking of Psycho Killer. I don't think we got it on the show tonight, but it's really good. Now, before the news, we were talking to Ray and Linda. Ray and Linda are organising an event called Big and Brassy on the 31st of March at 2:30 at the Prince's Hall in Aldershot. And it's an event where 8 brass bands, I think I've got the number right, haven't I, Ray?
Yes, that's right. Eight local brass bands. We joined together to put on a concert on the stage.
Yeah.
And it's of stage and screen this year, so there's a few pieces of music that people might know.
And we all know that Let It Go from Wicked is in it. Is it
Frozen.
Oh, Frozen, sorry.
Yes.
Yeah.
And for those that are really adventurous, there's Sex in the City.
Oh, we don't talk about that sort of thing on radio. we don't mention that. We don't mention that. Now, we talked about all sorts of things. We talked about the bands. And we talked about the Sandhurst Military Wives Choir. You're also funding, you're funding some very important charities, or you're collecting for some very important charities. We've got Macmillan, and we've also got Brass for Africa. I'm keen to know a bit more about that. And Parkside. Tell us a little bit about those.
Oh, okay. Macmillan, we're specifically raising funds for the Midhurst Macmillan area because one of the band members has a lot to do with Midhurst Macmillan and asked if we would support their charity, so that's where they come in. Parkside, Aldershot and District it's very small. If you get an opportunity to go down and see the work they do, it's fabulous. They work with children and adults with learning difficulties down by the crematorium in the park. Absolutely fabulous charity. Need a lot of money, so they're great. And Brass for Africa, you want to know
Tell us a bit about Brass for Africa. Now, I'm sort of thinking, do you support bands that are there, or do you send instruments out to them?
Last year we did a big mouthpiece drive because Brass for Africa, people do collect instruments and send them out to Africa, but quite often they go without a mouthpiece, so it's no good. So we did a big mouthpiece drive and we collected a lot of mouthpieces for them and a few instruments as well, which we sent out, and we raised some money for them too. And in fact, it should link quite nicely to the next thing we want to tell you about, because their composer in residence is a gentleman called Alan Fernie, who's very, very big in the brass band world.
I'm glad you said that. I got it wrong before. So tell us about Alan. What's his background? He's big in the world of brass.
He's up in Scotland, and he's a lot to do with children up in there and everything else. But he's got involved with Brass for Africa and everything, and that's where we sort of met him and found and heard of him and saw him. And he came down last year to be our soloist and played the trombone on stage for us last year. It was beautiful. It really was great. And we said to him, would you write us a march? And he did. He went back and he's written a march called Big and Brassy, but he's dedicated it to Linda and Ray, which is terrific.
How nice. Yes.
And it's going to have its world premiere on stage in Princess Hall at Big and Brassy this year.
I guess you guys have heard it already.
We played it.
Oh, you've played it? Ah. Now, let me try and remember. Linda, you play the cornet?
I play the cornet, and on the Big and Brassy I'll be playing the flugelhorn.
Yeah.
And I play the euphonium.
Okay, two very, very complex instruments. I was also fascinated when you just said now that the Brass for Africa, you buy mouthpieces. You just automatically assume that if you go and buy a trumpet or something, it's got a mouthpiece.
No, well, sometimes they have, but it's a very special thing. And we've got Rose Hill out from Beaconsfield, who's coming to display their wares for us, which is a musical shop. Right. They've got the biggest supply of mouthpieces going, and you can go there and you can try mouthpieces out till you can, to your heart's content, till you find the one that works for you. and it really is a specialised thing.
So does the mouthpiece actually alter the tone of the instrument?
Yes, it does greatly.
Yeah. And I guess you as a human have got to feel comfortable with that mouthpiece. I guess there's big ones, small ones.
Yes, you've got to feel it's comfortable on your mouth. It also gives you the range that you can get up high or down low, and it depends on what you want. If you want a screecher, then you get one that's. If you want the one that can get you all through the range, you buy that. But it's a specialised thing for your instruments.
I mean, when you're non-musical, you just assume that one thing does it all. One size fits all.
Well, the great thing about Rose Hill Instruments supporting us as well and coming down is that you're absolutely right. They've come down with a load of instruments and mouthpieces. And Ray said earlier, we have people as young as 8 in this band.
That's good.
So they've got an opportunity to try a new mouthpiece, a better quality instrument, opportunities they wouldn't normally get.
Yeah, because I suppose if you maybe, buy an instrument for your child, if you're naive about that sort of thing, like I am, you just go and buy a trumpet. You don't really think about the quality.
It's a very expensive game, and yes, most people start off with student instruments, which for learning purposes they're great. Mm-hmm. But if you really do want to take it up, you need a bit more professional ones, and that's where it comes expensive.
Yeah.
So it's great for kids to try these things.
Having said which, I might also point out that all of the bands involved are really keen to promote music to the youngsters, and many of them actually have instruments. So if you don't have an instrument, you've got a youngster who wants to learn, approach one of the local bands, because a lot of them have instruments that they can borrow. We certainly do at Sandhurst Band. I know Farnham have quite a lot of instruments that you can borrow.
Yeah, so if you want to find out, just presumably we use the good old search engine and we go on and find out where your local brass band meet.
Yes. If you go on there, just put in with the bands, it will give you the dates, the days that we rehearse and where we rehearse. And as I said, you come down and show an interest, and we can lend you the instruments. Mm-hmm. And also there's depth within the bands to actually teach people as well.
Yeah,
better still, come to the concert and talk to somebody from the band.
From the band to find out. And a lot of schools also now have their own bands where they have a range of instruments. Now, the tickets for the event are £14. As we said earlier, it's taking place on Sunday, the 31st of March at the Prince's Hall in Aldershot at 2:30. So tickets £14, including a free programme.
Which has details of the bands.
Well, hey, you don't often get that, do you? What about if people want to get in touch beforehand?
They can get hold of us at bigandbrassy@outlook.com or www.bigandbrassy.co.uk.
Okay, and also they can contact the Prince's Hall at princeshall.com, and there's a phone number for the Prince's Hall, which is local area code 01252 329 155.
That's right.
Brilliant. Well, thank you for coming in, guys. It's been really interesting. And the one thing I love about talking to people on radio is you educate yourself and you find out about all sorts of things. I know more about brass than I did half an hour ago. So
thank you for letting us be here.
It's been a pleasure. It's been a pleasure talking to you. Thank you for popping in.
Wrapped up, so consumed by all this hurt. If you ask me, don't know where to start. Anger, love, confusion, roads that go nowhere. I know there's somewhere better